Hello everyone, Chasing Sports with Media here. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of grading for the NFL offseason. Some of the moves, not all of them, but I picked up 5 moves that I wanted to discuss that I liked, that I thought were pretty interesting. And yeah, that's kind of what we're going to do today. So the first one coming at us is Derek Carr to the Saints. The way I have this going is we'll talk about the contract, pros and cons, and then my overall thoughts. Derek Carr to the Saints, I have currently a B- rating right now, and you know we'll get into the reasons. But the contract length is going to be a 4-year, $150 million contract. Total guarantees is 100, fully guarantees is 60, which is solid. So there's going to be an average annual value of $37.5 million, making him like the 9th highest paid quarterback. You know, pros, I kind of said that, he's an experienced QB. He has been in, for like a decent amount of years now. I'm not sure if it's like 12 or 13 or 10, something along those lines. He will have Michael Thomas, Chris Olave. He'll have Jamal Williams, Adam Troutman to throw to. So he does have a great offense around him that's very talented, right? I said contract, is effectively spread out for 3 years. I meant is with only 60 million fully guaranteed, but still, I mean, parts of this contract, it's the first year the cap hits low and the dead cat's low, but you do get into a little bit of an area where the dead cap starts to rise and the cap starts to rise to where, it does get a little pricey. But I think it's like after the 2026 season, they do have a void year. So, it could be interesting what they plan to do for him, but it does look like he's going to be there more than 2 years. I think that contract shows you that he's going to have to be there more than 2 years, right? I also said that the NFC South is not looking strong. Carr may prevail to be the best QB in that division, honestly. Right, as we're saying right now, obviously this is pre-draft, but for what I could see, I kind of agree with that. I would say he's going to be the best in the NFC, and that kind of gives the Saints a advantage in that weak division, right? I mean, you would say so. Here comes some cons, right? Carr, doesn't have any success in the postseason, unfortunately. Over all the years, he's had some really good seasons, but unfortunately, no success in the postseason. He is coming off a lackluster year with great offensive weapons. That's always scary, right? When you have guys like Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, and you had Devontae Adams and all these guys, and he still struggled a lot. And part of it is the coaching, right? Part of it is the coaching, but we can't blame it all on the coaching. 2025, $45.7 million cap hit. Like I said, guys, like this contract does get quite expensive. It does kind of limit them later in the in their contract, but it does get expensive, so that's going to hurt them. They have really a lot of interesting stuff what they're going to do with that. Let's remember, Carr is like 35 years old. He's not getting any younger, so that also hurts the contract value and his overall value. And there's no trade clause, which also is kind of alarming, and why I kind of brought it down from a B to a B minus, right? So, I mean, that's it. I mean, I think it's a good move for the Saints. I think it's okay. I think they got a quarterback for a few years to kind of put together. They went from Andy Dalton to him and Jameis Winston, which I do think is an upgrade. Don't get me wrong, but this contract does look like to handicap them in a few years, and that's kind of what I'm looking at. But again, the NFC South is so weak that this might really be good for them in the way that they can really compete in that division because it's so weak. But yeah, let's move on. Next up, we have Jimmy G to the Raiders. This is another move that was, right after Derek Carr's move, and it kind of foreshadowed that, or not really, but kind of followed that. Like the Raiders now need to address the quarterback position, so they went over to Jimmy G, giving him a 3-year, $72.75 million contract with a 45 total guarantees. Average annual value is going to be $24.4 million. I gave this a B grade. Honestly, I'll give you guys this. The main reason I gave it a B grade is because of the contract and because it allows them to extend their stars in a few years. So, I mean, I like it. I just don't think it's a huge upgrade from Carr, right? But the pros, he's going to amazing offense with Adams, Renfrow, Jacobs. He's going to a team that definitely has a good supporting cast. The Raiders save more than $15 million switching to Jimmy G. So, look, similar talent, similar production, it seems, but they're saving a lot of money. Saving a lot of money going to Jimmy G, which is always nice to save the money, save the cap hit, right? And like I said, this does allow Raiders to extend players like Jacobs and like Max Crosby. So that's always great to be able to extend that greatness they have going on. One of the guys who leads the league in sacks, or one top 10 kind of guy, and then you have the guy who was the best rusher in the NFL this year in Josh Jacobs. So that's always nice, and I do like the signing for that reason. I would say cons would be, it's not a huge leap from Carr. It's not a game-breaking move from Carr. Some people literally look at this as a lateral move. It's just better when it comes to the money. Relatively same talent and production. He's coming off of a lackluster year with an injury. You know, he obviously wasn't the starter beginning of the 2022 season. Trey Lance was. Trey Lance goes down. It's Jimmy G. Jimmy G gets hurt, right? And then Brock Purdy goes in. So there you go with that. Jimmy G obviously is coming off an injury, so there's some questions when it coming to there. You know, and the coaching of Las Vegas is still in question. Josh McDaniels obviously has experience working with Jimmy G. So that's one thing that people were looking at this. Well, you know, Josh McDaniels and Jimmy G have worked together before, so that might prove to be beneficial for Jimmy G. But I just still think the coaching is in question with all the talent last year and the lack of production that team had. And again, he's not sure if the franchise guy. I think we all know. I don't know if really Jimmy G is a franchise quarterback. I don't think so. But I think he is going to be serviceable for 3 years. And you know, their contract gives them flexibility again. Like that's the biggest thing. It gives them flexibility to work with. It allows them to get better. So that's you know, I kind of look at this as a B. I didn't want to bring up to an A or bring up to a C. I think it's, you know, right there. I think it's good, and I think it doesn't solve all the issues at quarterback, but I think it does put a Band-Aid over it for just a few years.
Our next free agent grade is going to be Javon Hargrave to the Niners, which was also pretty early within free agency. I gave this A minus. There's a few reasons around why I gave it a minus. Again, the contract length is 4 years, $84 million, with $40 million total guarantee, and average annual value of $21.1 million. You know, Javon Hargrave is a phenomenal player. It was a big reason why the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. He was just always sacking the quarterback, always putting pressure. You know, he really did well in the middle of that line, and he was a big piece. And it really hurts that the Eagles couldn't bring him back. You know, some pros that we're looking at for this Javon Hargrave signing is, you know, already top 2 NFL, you know, defense in the NFL, adding a top 3 rated defensive tackle, which is awesome. Just, I mean, they're already going to get better. You know, the pass rush will work well with players like Nick Bosa. You know, I just don't see any quarterback being able to calmly sit in the pocket and throw a pass against the Niners. And you know, Hargrave seems to be entering the best play of his career, following his you know, best season yet with 11 sacks. This guy's an animal. This guy tears up defenses. You know, and cons, I tried to find some. My best, you know, 30 years old. I guess so you are going to have him till you're 34, till he's 34, give him all of his guaranteed money at like, or you're only giving him 40 guaranteed for 2 years, which isn't bad. But again, 30 years old, he is getting a little older. Contract could be said to be expensive for an age range, but I mean, I had to put something there, but I really just don't. I don't think that's too much of an issue, to be honest. And he struggles to defend the run at times, and that is an issue. We'll give him that. He does struggle to defend the run at certain times, especially last year when the Eagles had to bring in Sue and Linval Joseph, is because Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave could not stop the run. So that is something they're worried about, but they have great linebackers and whatnot. So overall, I did give it an A minus.
I think it's been too positive as well. So let's look at a move that I don't really like too much, or I don't agree with too much, and that's going to be Andre Dillard to the Tennessee Titans, right? Andre Dillard, a first round pick back in, I want to say 2018 or 2019. Sorry if I've been correct. The Titans had came to him and offered him a 3-year, $29 million deal with $13 million total guaranteed, and average annual value is going to be 9.6. Quite interesting, noting that Andre Dillard has been nothing less of a bust for the Eagles. Hasn't had his chance for the reason that he can't stay healthy. Hasn't performed too well when he actually got snaps. So I gave this grade a C minus, right? I gave it a C minus. And I said possible low risk, high reward. You know, has decent film when playing on the interior side of the line. Has flexibility in his position because he can play guard or tackle, but I just think the cons outweigh it because he's injury prone. He played only 677 snaps between 2019 to 2021 and only 37 in 2022. He struggles to defend the bull rush at times. He could struggle with outside run blocking as well. So I don't know, man. I mean, maybe he'll surprise some people getting a full season to start. But from what Eagles fans like us, what I've seen, like he's not there completely. He's injury prone. He can't defend too well. And I gave it a C minus. I know the contract makes it so it's not any lower because it's not a big contract. But I don't think he's going to go in there and solve any really offensive line problems. And, I mean, God forbid if he even plays. Yeah, so I wanted to come a negative one in here, but this is the move that I just don't like. Last but not least is Jalen Ramsey of the Dolphins, a all-pro cornerback. And, I mean, the Dolphins truly did great in this trade, only having to send a third-round pick and Hunter Long, a tight end,
to the Rams, and they got Ramsey. And I mean, that's just phenomenal. They basically robbed the Rams. This is such a great trade for them. Contract is going to be 3 years, $55 million with an 18.3 average annual value. Total guarantees $35.5 million. So nonetheless, a great trade for the Dolphins. Really helps their defense. As we look at the pros, we see he gave up almost nothing for all their cornerback. You're pairing him with Xavier Howard and Javon Holland, which is just such a good trio. He has that ball hawk ability, third highest PFF graded quarterback in 2022. I try to look at some cons, right? 28 years old. Play has begun to decline slightly, but not alarming. But I mean, I still think once he's in a better scheme, he'll do even better. I think this defense struggled a lot last year, guys. And I think he's their missing piece. I think he's going to help them get back to where they need to be for the high-powered offense to go forward. I love this for them. I think this sets them up well back there, and they can now focus on the D-line and upgrading those pass rushers and whatnot. So overall, I graded it an A.